Hello, Bailey, just escaping what seems to be a heated, emotionally charged custody dispute with DDG. Suddenly finds herself involved in a different plot with Scott Bridgeway, Kendrick Lamar's producer. Fans were perplexed when pictures of them being jeered on a boat appeared online. Given the lasting effects of her previous relationship, which included restraining orders and court documents, why would Halle enter into a new one? Some could argue that Halle is using her freedom to move on, but below that freedom lies a maze of unconscious urges and hidden motivations, some of which even she herself may not completely understand. However, you are already aware that RRG is investigating. And we're going to take off all the layers of this sweltering, smelly monstrosity today. However, remember to grab a bite to eat at RGNASexCom before Hal's sister Chloe scolds us for being too involved in Hal's affairs. We provide a variety of freeze-dried treats, butter, toffee peanuts, and applewood smoked bacon jerky at our online concession shop. What therapists call transitory relationships are among the most fascinating dynamics at work here. The phenomenon of people creating new attachments out of fear of the emptiness that follows a loss is referred to by this word. The attraction between them and their new companion heals the deep wounds of their previous relationship while also giving them a dopamine high and affirmation. This pattern is not a random occurrence. It frequently stems from attachment style, which is formed in early childhood and serves as a pattern for how we interact with others. The attachment theory of British psychologist John Bowlby states that people who have an anxious, concerned attachment style are more susceptible to this loop. They frequently equate relationship with their own identity, since they feel most secure. When they are together, their neurological system goes into overdrive when they are alone, and they are certain that loneliness is awful. The fact that Halle and DDG's kid, Halo, is there makes things a little more complicated. Maybe more people would be encouraging Halle to live her best life if a youngster weren't caught up in this tomfoolery. Children, however, magnify every choice. Every change in the surroundings, however, causes a disturbance when a youngster is involved, a child who is still learning and who depends on touch and consistency to develop trust. The youngster uses Halle's emotional state as a template to judge whether the environment is safe. Halle is the primary carer in this situation. Children are susceptible to parental stress, as psychologists have long warned. Babies and their mothers co-regulate their emotional states, according to Dr. Alan Shore's study on impact control in early development. The child biologically absorbs the inconsistencies if the mother is emotionally unstable or distracted by a new relationship. Their sleep habits become disjointed, their stress hormones rise, and their evolving sense of self is influenced by uncertainty. However, it's not as easy as saying hello. You have no right to go on. People aren't machines, even when it's not. In our best interests, we are beings of want who are wired to connect and bond. The need to be loved again might be overpowering for a woman who has recently ended a high-conflict relationship that reportedly necessitated a restraining order. Self-esteem is frequently destroyed by traumatic relationships. And finding a new relationship shows that you are still wanted, valuable, and deserving of love. Has she ever questioned why she first chose DDG? Has she allowed herself enough time to recover before allowing herself to be in a new relationship? What worries a lot of people is the timing. Legal ambiguity surrounds Hal's life. She just had a baby. She is being contested in court by DDG. Her restraining orders ink is hardly dry. And yet here she is, with a man she may or may not know well, pushed against her in the sun on a yacht. Additionally, sometimes what seems like empowerment is actually avoidance. We have produced a culture that stigmatizes loneliness, particularly among women. A lady by herself must be recovering, improving herself, or returning to society. There is no acceptable middle ground for just living aimlessly. Moving on seems like the only sensible course of action when the anguish of separation becomes unbearable. Hal and Scott's relationship would appear to be a lovely fresh beginning on the surface. But progress isn't everything that glitters. She has to ask herself, am I choosing this person because I genuinely know them and believe in our potential? Or am I choosing them because I am terrified to be alone with myself? Relationships are only as strong as the self-awareness of the individuals involved. According to psychologists like Dr. Stan Tatkin, you will carry the lessons from your past into the present if you haven't digested them. You will seek out companions to alleviate your loneliness if you haven't learned how to do it yourself. Only he ultimately knows the solution. Now, however, the stakes are higher. She considers more than simply her feelings while making decisions. It concerns the early development ecosystem of her son. It concerns what he will eventually comprehend about self-respect, affection, and dedication. The fact that not all scars heal with time is maybe the most depressing reality. What counts is how you use your time. Additionally, you run the danger of leaving a legacy of unresolved hurt if you spend it searching for the next warm body to lie beneath, according to reports. DDG has moved on with Instagram model India Love, and the backlash against her decision has been far less harsh than highs. Deeply ingrained societal prejudices regarding gender, bonding, and the expectations we have of mothers versus dads are reflected in this double standard. People are frequently tempted to dismiss a man's rapid moving on as normal masculine behavior. Men compartmentalize intimacy and love according to a popular idea, and they may enter new relationships without it necessarily reflecting on their character or ability to parent. But when a woman goes on, it leads to assessments of her stability, priorities, and value. This demonstrates what psychologists refer to as parental idealization. Mothers are supposed to sacrifice themselves to the extent of being invisible. In actuality, DDG and Halle are both dealing with the fallout from a broken relationship. They are both susceptible to the coping strategies that surface when public love breaks down. The main distinction is that Halle must defend every decision she takes, but DDG is allowed by culture to divert himself without repercussions. Despite being a newborn, Halo is silently taking in every change in mood, every diversion, and every second that passes when his parents are not looking at him. And maybe this is the moment for Harry and everyone else attempting to escape their own emptiness to think about taking a different route. A road where recovery is determined by your desire to dwell within the void until it no longer frightens you, rather than by how soon you find someone new to replace it. What's unresolved within you cannot be concealed by a new romance, a tropical trip, or any other diversion. Furthermore, Halo won't be the only one affected by her decisions. She herself will be the one. We hope that when she wakes up one day, she will understand that the love she was looking for in another person was always supposed to begin within herself. No matter how many arms you fall into, the emptiness you want to escape will eventually find its way back to you. Furthermore, Halo won't be the only one to bear the consequences of her choices. Halle will be the one bearing the silent pain of unlearned teachings. She could eventually realize that no man can ever truly love her the way she was intended to be loved.